The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, Karam Yoga, Chapter 3, The Secret of Work, Part 3. The position of the mother is the highest in the world, as it is the one place in which to learn and exercise the greatest unselfishness. The love of God is the only love that is higher than a mother's love. All others are lower. It is the duty of the mother to think of her children first and then of herself. But instead of that, if the parents are always thinking of themselves first, the result is that the relation between the parents and the children becomes the same as that between birds and their offsprings, which, as soon as they are fledged, do not recognize any parents. Blessed indeed is the man who is able to look upon woman as the representative of the motherhood of God. Blessed indeed is the woman to whom man represents the fatherhood of God. Blessed are the children who look upon their parents as divinity manifested on earth. The only way to rise by doing the duty next to us and thus gathering strength, going on until we have reached the highest state. A young sannyasi went to a forest where he had meditated, worshipped, and practiced yoga for a long time. After years of hard work and practice, he was one day sitting under a tree when some dry leaves fell upon his head. He looked up and saw a crow and a crane fighting on the top of the tree. This made him very angry. He said, "What? Dare you throw these dry leaves upon my head?" As soon as these words were spoken, he angrily glanced at them. A flash of fire went out of his head. Such was the yogi's power that the birds were burned to ashes. He was very glad, almost overjoyed at this development of power, that he could burn the crow and the crane just by a look. After a time, he had to go to the town to beg his bread. He went, stood at a door, and said, "Mother, give me food." A voice came from inside the house. "Wait a little, my son." The young man thought, "You wretched woman, how dare you make me wait? You do not know my power yet." While he was thinking thus, the voice came again, "Boy, don't be thinking too much of yourself. Here is neither crow nor crane." He was astonished. Still he had to wait. At last the woman came and he fell at her feet and said, "Mother, how did you know that?" She said, "My boy, I do not know your yoga or your practices. I am a common everyday woman. I made you wait because my husband is ill and I was nursing him. All my life I have struggled to do my duty. When I was unmarried, I did my duty to my parents. Now that I am married, I do my duty to my husband. That is all the yoga I practice. But by doing my duty, I have become illumined. That is all the yoga I practice. And thus I could read your thoughts and know what you had done in the forest. If you want to know something higher than this, go to the market of such and such town, where you will find a Vyadha, the lowest class of people in India who used to live as hunters and butchers. He will tell you something that you will be very glad to learn." The sannyasi thought, "Why should I go to that town to a Vyadha?" But after what he had seen, his mind opened a little. So he went. When he came near the town, he found the market, and there, at a distance, he saw a big fat Vyada cutting meat with his big knives, talking and bargaining with different people. The young man said, Lord, help me. Is this the man from whom I am going to learn? He is the incarnation of a demon, if anything. In the meantime, this man looked up and said, O Swami, did that lady send you here? Take a seat until I have done my business. The sannyasi thought, what comes to me here? He took his seat. The man went on with his work, and after he had finished, he took his money and said to the sannyasi, Come, sir, come to my home. On reaching home, the Vyada gave him a seat and saying, Wait here, and went into the house. He then washed his old father and mother and fed them and did all that he could to please them. And after which he came to the sannyasi and said, Now, sir, you have come here to see me. What can I do for you? The sannyasi asked him a few questions about soul and about God. And the Vyada gave him a lecture which forms a part of the Mahabharata called the Vyada Gita. It contains one of the highest flights of the Vedanta. When the Vyada finished his teaching, the sannyasi felt astonished. He said, Why are you in that body with such knowledge as yours? Why are you in a Vyada's body and doing such filthy, ugly work? My son, replied the Vyada, no duty is ugly, no duty is impure. My birth placed me in these circumstances and in this environment. In my boyhood, I learned the trade. I am unattached. And I try to do my duty well. I try to do my duty as a householder. And I try to do all that I can to make my father and mother happy. I neither know your yoga, nor have I become a sannyasi, nor did I come out of the world into a forest. Nevertheless, all that you have heard and seen has come to me through the unattached doing of the duty which belongs to my position. There is a sage in India, a great yogi, one of the most wonderful men I have ever seen in my life. He is a peculiar man. He will not teach anyone. If you ask him a question, he will not answer. It is too much for him to take up the position of a teacher. He just will not do it. So if you ask him a question and wait for some days, in the course of conversation, he will bring up the subject and wonderful light he will throw on it. He told me once the secret of work. Let the end and the means be joined into one. When you are doing any work, do not think of anything beyond. Do it as worship, as the highest worship, and devote your whole life to it for the time being. Thus, in the story, the Vyada and the woman did their duty with cheerfulness and wholeheartedness, and the result was that they became illuminated, clearly showing that the right performance of the duties of any station in life without attachment to the results leads us to the highest realization of the perfection of the soul. It is the worker who is attached to the results that grumbles about the nature of the duty which has fallen to his lot. To the unattached workers, all duties are equally good and form efficient instruments with which selfishness and sensuality may be killed and the freedom of the soul secured. We are all apt to think too highly of ourselves. Our duties are determined by our desires to a much larger extent. than we are willing to grant. Competition rouses envy and it kills the kindness of the heart. To the grumbler, all duties are distasteful. Nothing will ever satisfy him, and his whole life is doomed to prove a failure. Let us work on doing as we go, whatever happens to be our duty, and being ever ready to put our shoulders to the wheel. Then surely shall we see the light.